Alright, so in the class we have been working on Snort analysis, and we've gone over quite a few labs. I just want to kind of make sure I capture some of them on video for your review. You can see the key is to be able to read and understand Snort rule, and then be able to take that Snort rule, test it to make sure that it actually achieved the objective that you set it to achieve by essentially running it through a traffic that you expect the rule to detect, so you can be very, very sure. The location for you to cache to download the rules is where I put up on the screen, and I've shared it also with most of you guys during the class. It's important for you to be able to go and obtain some of those rules yourself, because they do change. One of the things we've done in the class before was to kind of go through what you need to do for those rules. So I'm going to go through the website now. Here we are with emerging thread. And if you go down here, you would be able to see all the rules that are here. If you go to the open rules, like I told you that there are two major engines for rule-based NIDS. There's the Snort rule, and then there's the Suricata rule. We're going to focus on the Snort rule, and you can see what options you have over here. You can grab any of these files, they are already been compressed, so or zipped. You have to grab any one of them and then zip it up, and then you can go ahead and open it up and see what is. Example of one here. Here's my rules that I downloaded from there. I'll grab these rules. As you can see, there are various classes of this rule. One of the ones we looked at in the class were the ones that are dealing with the web client, the web server. If you're looking for shellcode rules, SNMP rule, SQL rules, you can simply, or user agent rule, you can open them and kind of see what it is they have. If you go to one of the client rule, it's better to have Notepad++, because it allows you to be able to open up the rules without having anything looking all messed up. I'm going to minimize this now for a second, and then you can see I can browse down. If you don't have a large screen, you can also go to view here and use word wrap, and that will help you to word wrap it. One of the things we could do over here is look at the rule up close. And if you're looking at this one, you can see this rule was written by Kevin Ross, and what this one is simply saying is alert on TCP for any traffic that is coming from an external network. And you already know that if you go into our Snort configuration engine, we can specify what is our external network. And of course, the same thing for our HTTP ports. Go in, this is the direction of the arrow, to the home network. Again, whatever it is we specify to be the home network, on and a port. This is the message keywords. You can see the colon, and this is the message that will be displayed. You can essentially modify this, it doesn't matter at all. And a semicolon means the end of the keywords. Then we have another keyword here, flow. And it's saying this is flowing to the client. It's got to be established after three-way handshake. And now this keyword content is to inspect the payload. So what is it looking for? It's looking for the word PDF, capital letter, and then hyphen. And then, of course, it's another one, the depth here, how far. And here's another content. And you should know that this depth is referring to this content. Here we have another content here. And then we have the strings that we're looking for here. And here, another keyword say, no case, which applies to this content, which means we're looking to the payload. Remember, content are generally expensive, so you want to use it wisely, because they take more processing power for your sensors. And here's another distance, another keywords. I strongly encourage you to go to Snort keywords to see a list of various keywords that we have, so you can take some time to inspect them, because there is a lot of them, but there are just major ones that are very few ones that are often used. So it's worth the time to spend about an hour just to review the meanings of these keywords. Here's another content we're looking for, and here is the strings. Again, case insensitive, and of course within 150 byte. Alright, so that's an example. One of the things I'm going to do for you in an example here is I'm going to run just grab ordinary traffic and then kind of show you how I will translate these Snort rule into a WireShark filter to see if it's going to detect any malicious content. So let's go and do that. So here's a few files here, and I'm going to look for just some web traffic, something I can easily modify. Got a few HTTP here, so I can just grab college, and here I'm with it a little bit. So what I'm going to do here, it's going to be a bit interesting. I'm going to grab this traffic because it's look ideal to me. It's got a HTTP traffic in it, and I'm going to modify it, and I will write a rule to cache that particular type of traffic. Now there's a tool that I'm going to quickly introduce to you here, and it's called ColaSoft. ColaSoft Packet Builder. ColaSoft allows me to manipulate a traffic that I'm working with, and then replay that traffic across the network. So let's go ahead and see how I'm going to do this. I'm going to go down over here, and I'm going to go grab that collect traffic that I showed you earlier. Here is one. I'm going to open it, and here we go here. And if you're looking at ColaSoft clearly well here, you will see one of the objectives that I have here. I can grab my IP address, so this is my source IP, and I can modify it. I can change it. If I don't want this to be 67, I can make this to be 65. I can change it. So it's whatever that I want it to be, that is going to be. That's one of the beauty of ColaSoft Packet Builder, because I can use it to manipulate a trace file and then replay it as a normal traffic on the network. A bad guy can use this one to capture, to modify a captured traffic. So if you're logging on and your credentials are not encrypted, if a bad guy captured the credential, then they can use this to modify it a bit and then replay it as a normal traffic. Essentially, they will be logging you on without even you actually logging on. Alright, enough said on that. Let's go to TCP over here. You can see the TCP port, that's port 80. That's my source port, and this is my destination port. Also, you have all the other flags here that I can set, and so on and so forth. And there's some extra data here. I can modify those data at will. Alright, so let me look for something that might be of interest to me. Here's some one data here. I can see this is HTTP GET, and as you're familiar with in the class already, this is somebody requesting a web page from a web server. So I already have my information here that I need. That's the source IP. This is destination IP, source port, destination port. But I'm going to go over here and modify, the payload a bit, right? And what I'm going to use here, I can just look at where my mouse is here, and I'm going to move my mouse around here so you could actually see it. I can come over here, and I will introduce a particular traffic file, like a string. Let's call it century. Okay, let's call it century. So you can see there. It looks a bit tiny, but that's the sound show you right over there. You can see it right on the screen that I've introduced a string called century. Alright, And the next thing I'm going to do here is, if I select this traffic now, I can then go and send it. Before I send it, I'm going to decide what interface, especially if you have more than one, you want to send this traffic. For me, I'm going to look at my adapter here, and I like to use an adapter that is relatively quiet, so if I use Microsoft, usually one of these are going to be my wireless, and this is going to be my Ethernet card. Sometimes that can be quite busy, but I have my VMware interface here, which I know is quiet. There's nothing running on it. So what I'm going to do is to select this interface. Okay, so that is the interface on which this traffic is going to be sent. Having done that one, I've crafted a packet, and now I can come over here and I can go to packet. Well, I'll go to option first, and I'm going to make sure that this capture is taking place on this adapter. Alright, I want to make sure that I am doing this on this interface and not just any other interface card. Alright, if I do not do that, I can even disable these other ones to make sure that this is the only one that I've got here. See that? And that exactly matches up with the interface that I selected on the CollaSoft. I want to make sure that my WireShark is, listening on the interface that the CollaSoft packet is going to be, replaying the packet. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and send the traffic. One of the things I generally do, I'm going to stop it for a second here. Just because I want to show you guys something really quick. One of the things I often do when I want to build a rule is I leverage an existing traffic just to create rules around the field. Here is an example. Okay, I know I'm going to be sending the traffic. I'm going to show you something really quick here. I know I'm going to be sending the traffic, and I can grab any other packet. I want to make sure we're not using the one that we're going to be using to send something to you. Here's another one here. I know I'm going to be sending you a traffic that has a source IP, okay, that has a source port, and that has a payload. Very, very similar to the rules that we looked at here earlier on. If you look at that, if you look at this rule really care that is coming from our external network. In this case, it's saying then a port, but in our case, we're looking for port 80. And content here is the same thing as payload. So I'm going to quickly do something here. I'm going to go ahead and build my rules, and I'll go ahead and modify the content. Right? I'll modify the content. Here, I'm just going to go ahead and say prepare filter. You can see prepare the filter for me. Now, in my case, my source IP is going to be 24, 6.173.228. If that is, perhaps what I want to do, I could choose to go for something else. It's totally up to me. In other words, I could modify this content, to meet any other condition, right? So the next thing I'm going to be doing over here now is look at the port to see if I can get something that meets the port condition. Alright, so then the next one is port. So I know my port is defined at the TCP layer, so I'm going to grab this field. Remember, the value here doesn't matter to me. I just want to grab this field, so I don't have to remember that. I can always modify that, and I'm going to say and, depending on your rule or what you're trying to do. In this case, I'm trying to look for a particular traffic coming from a particular IP address, and it must be heading to my port 80 since I'm targeting web traffic. I select this, and I'm looking for a payload. Remember, I modified the payload here earlier on to consist a century. If you remember earlier here, I'm going to pull this off. If my mouse will work. Okay, at some point here, I added a century to the payload. Even I cannot find where century is because it was so tiny. But I added century over here, and there you have it over here. So I hit century collect, as part of the payload. So then I can come over here and then put a space here. Okay, and I will say frame contains. Okay, and I'll put the strings I'm looking for in code. Okay, so what I'm really doing over here is saying that my IP source is this, and the TCP port is equals to 80, and the payload contains the word century. Okay, now for the normal traffic, it's not going to cache anything, because there's no traffic like that. So, but I have crafted a packet here earlier. If you remember, while we were working on, ColorSoft, I've crafted a packet here in ColorSoft that has century here. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to send, this traffic, just this one traffic, on an interface that WireShark is listening on. So I'm going to go to capture here, and I'm going to go to option, and I'll make sure this is the only one I selected, and I'm going to drop this filter here, and I will apply it on this traffic. Now it's working, it's listening now, and what I'm going to do is to come over here, select this, and I'm going to say send, and I'll go to start, and now you can see he caught it. He caught it because I send this traffic on this particular network that this WireShark is listening on, or filter, or a sensor you can call it, and it meets this particular condition. I'm sending something that's coming from this network and TCP, destination port is 80, and the payload contains the word century. If I'm looking for credit card, if I'm looking for some particular keyword, sensitive word, attacker, bad guys, bad IP, whatever, that's what it will cache it just like that. I can also modify this, as a matter of fact, and call this one 0/24. Then I can go to apply, and it will still cache it. If I go back here, remember another thing I could do is I can actually send all the traffic. If I want to send everything that I want, I can send it. You can see it called it again. Alright, so what I've covered right in this section is to show you guys how to go and grab emerging threat rules, and I told you can actually go to these rules, go to these URL, grab it, and focus mostly on the open source tools because I think they're very, very valuable. Our own is mostly Snort, and if you go there, you will be able to grab all the rules. And I also showed you that ColorSoft is a rule of choice. If you download the packet player, you'll be able only to play. I kind of recommend that you more or less go with packet builder instead of packet Another one that I also want to mention with you guys is Snort rule often has a lot of X, and there are some key X that you need to remember Remember 3A stands for colon, and of course 0D, 0A. This looks almost like a letter O, but it should be 0. And 0A looks for, represent carriage return, character feed. So try to remember that. You will run across it quite a bit throughout this class as we analyze various Snort rules. Here is another one that I want to kind of quickly show you. You can see how we translate emerging threat rule into a WireShark filter. See, alert on TCP going to home network on any port going external. This will cache an internal traffic that is heading out of the environment to a website. Again, this particular rule will capture a web traffic that is exiting our network. What are we looking for? We're looking for something with a user agent of gives. One of the direction of the flow is going to a server, which means our destination port must be 80 or any web port designated in our system, or externally, which oftentimes is port 80 or 443. It must be established that this traffic needs only match after a three-way handshake. And then in our payload, we're looking for user agent. Of course, 3A stands for colon. Then we have gives, and of course 0D, 0A is one of those things I mentioned to you earlier on, that we're only going to care about it in the sense that it means next line. And then the header, the field you want to look for, is your HTTP header. Alright, so I'm going to demonstrate to you how this works, and then I'm going to expect you to apply this same theory to solve the other problem. Alright, so I'm going to be using this trace file called Snort rule analysis. I'm going to load it up. Snort rule analysis to demonstrate how to use a WireShark filter like this to cache this. As you can see, in this case, remember, this is just means a next line, so I'm not going to reflect this in my rule. My rule, for the most part, will look more like this, and I will show you an example of that. My rule is going to look more like this. You can see the main difference between what you have here and what I have here is I use a different IP address because I'm using a different traffic, obviously, and TCP, my destination port is 80 because the web traffic, remember, external destination port is HTTP, so mine is port 80, it has to be 80, and the user agent. And you might be wondering, how did you know how to build the user agent here? Because obviously you don't know that before. Well, that's easy. Remember what I told you guys earlier. So let's say I didn't have this before. Maximize this. Assume I don't know this beforehand. I don't know what user agent is, but I know it's HTTP. It's very simple. I will look for any traffic that's HTTP. I'll browse down here, and I'll minimize this side because I don't need it. I'm going to look for HTTP, and I'm going to look for header, fields in HTTP where header is stated. That's really what I would look for. And until I find one, I'll just keep looking. Go over here, and if I can't find one here, I will look for an HTTP header. You can see one over here. Let me see if I have the appropriate header here to select. So here we go here. There's HTTP file transfer, and I'm looking for a user agent because that's what the rules tells me earlier. The rule tells me that I'm looking for this particular field. If I can get my PowerPoint to show you what I'm going to show you. Okay, here you can see I'm looking for a user agent, but I'm also told here that that field, this value here, should be found inside this field. HTTP header. Good. So you can see what I'm looking for here is my user agent. Okay, so it's easier for me to then come over here and then prepare a filter. You can just select it. Don't worry about this large noise. It doesn't matter to me. You know, what I really care about at this point is to be able to then grab this field. So let's say I'm looking for a value that I want to build this roof from the scratch. The first thing I'm going to look for is my source IP. Just like I've done earlier on. Source IP, apply filter, selected. And I'm looking for destination port. And in this case, I want my destination port, it's TCP, I want my destination port to be 80. Prepare and make sure my destination port is 80. Understand that? So, and it's very easy. I can even blow this circle apart, and then I can come back here and say my HTTP, my user agent, prepare and this. Now, what am I looking for? What is my home keyword? My keyword is Gits. As you can see here, the keyword looking for is, because this is user agent colon, 3A's colon, and the keyword, the string here is Gits. This is just, you know, next line. So come over here. I will edit what the frames here, because that's not what I want to look for. I'm just using that. Gifts. Okay, so I'm looking for something with an IP source of this. Okay, and the TCP destination is 80, and the user agent has a string called Gibbs. If I were to do that, I have this traffic here. Now, depending on whether, and I'll copy this out. Still listening on that interface, so I'll just say press enter here. Now, if I just send the entire traffic, which I could do, I can send the entire traffic here. If there is no traffic here with these gifts, it won't cache anything. See that? It just won't cache anything. And the reason it wasn't caching anything is because of this frame. Now, if I remove this and I apply it here, you see, it cache a bunch of traffic, because there are many traffic that are coming from this network heading towards port 80, but none of them has, you know, the frame we're looking at. But if I come here, look for any traffic here, and I can just something going to user agent give zip. I've modified this traffic. If I put this back up here, now one of the things that you want to be aware here is the significance of what you are about to do. Sometimes you could do something that will have a more lasting, significant impact on a traffic. Okay, back to where we were before. So you will see that after playing this traffic, it matches against nothing, even though this frame had gone to the user agent and added the word gives here, and yet still it's not. That is simply because this equal sign is equivalent to the word matches. In other words, in order for this to match, gives has to be the only words there. So in order to loosen this up a little bit, I would change this to contains, which is much more loose. All it does, you can see now, it matches this traffic, because now I've added the word gives there. Alright? And this is what will play out throughout this presentation slide. You would see a row, and then you would see the equivalent traffic. The same thing with these rules as well. You have an alert TCP going from your home network on any port to external network on web port, which is port 80, and of course this is the message we're displaying on the dashboard. It's got to have gone through the three-way handshake. It must be flowing to the server. The content has to have the word get, and then the method is HTTP. Again, remember what we did earlier on? This time around, you're going to be looking at HTTP method. And if you look, this one has multiple content. So this is something you look for in the payload on the HTTP method. And this one is a little bit different. How will I cache this? How will I be able to ever cache this type of content? That's relatively very easy. The only major thing here is you have to know what you're looking for. The field that I'm going to be modifying here, and I will give you this skeleton without actually going to solve this in this example. So I'll come here, close this up. The first thing I'm looking at here is it's coming from my home network, and I'm going to make some assumption here. Assume that my home network is this IP address. So I'm going to say prepare filter, select it. It's going to web port, so I'm going to simply come to TCP here and say head into prepare filter and this port 80. Alright, here these things get interesting now. So I'm going to say content. I'm looking for the word get, case sensitive, capital. But where am I looking for it? I'm looking under HTTP method. That is the field under HTTP. So then I'm going to look for a protocol for HTTP, because that's where you're going to get that field. And minimize this up here. Minimize this up here. Go down to my HTTP traffic here, or protocol, and I'm looking for HTTP method. That's really what I'm looking for over here, to see if I can grab this, expand this, and I'll see if I can get my HTTP method. If there is no get traffic here, then you will go to another one that has actually have a get traffic. You can see I've got a cache expanded over here, so on and so forth. Let me look for the one that has okay, there's one here. You can see, and then you can see request method. That's what I'm looking for. Then here I'm going to grab this field, and I'm going to say prepare, and generally I'm going to say end. You can see here's my HTTP request method, and you can see the word I'm looking for, get. That matches what I'm looking for here. Alright, that's the first payload condition that I want to meet. I'm also looking for another content, but I'm looking for it in the URI, my uniform resource information here. So this is the field I'm going to target, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to say prepare filter, and right, only that this time around my target is just these. the URI content, I'm going to select this. That is what I'm looking for. Actually, that's the second one. The first one is just this. I'll clean it up later, no problem. So you come over here. That's the first one. And then the second one. I'm just going to leverage the same field again. And I'm going to say prepare and URI again. And this time around, I'm going to grab the name. I'm going to minimize this. I'm going to post this one here. And if you see pink, it means that something is not right. So you got to find out what is it that is not right, that is making it give you 1 second here. And here's my typo cleaned up. So this is what the new rule is going to look like. And you can, I've shown you now how to modify the traffic using Colasoft. So you can go ahead and practice that on your own. Use Colasoft to generate a traffic that will match against this rule. But this is what your rule will look like when you are done. Meanwhile, remember, this will match exactly. So one thing you want to remember to do here is change this one to contains. And come over here as well and change this one to contains. And that's it, gentlemen. This will be the video that I want you guys to go ahead and look at. And you can see right now my traffic matches this. See that? Matches just this one traffic. This is exactly what you will do. Alright? So I want you to run through this, go ahead and practice this with other rules that I've given you in class. Run through this PowerPoint slide. I believe I have a PDF of it uploaded to the to the website. There are other rules over here that you can also mess with, and hopefully you enjoy your weekend with this. Thank you so much. Have a good night.